Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I, as always, am Grestar, and this is another reaction to a death battle, Jason Voorhees versus Michael Myers. As always, the link to the original is in the description below, so check that out first. So we have Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th series and Michael Myers from the Halloween series. I have only seen the first movie of both series, so I know that I'm missing a lot of Michael, and I believe I'm missing a lot more Jason, because first off, Jason's not really even a character in the first one. Like, he's a character just because he kind of has to be to set up the story, but it's not like the Jason Voorhees that we know. You know, it's not like the hockey mask wearing dude that kills everyone. It's someone else in the first one. Spoilers. But like, and then Halloween, if I understand it correctly, like it was Michael Myers, and then Michael Myers in the second one, and then the third one was something else. Because I think the original intention behind the Halloween series was it was supposed to just be like, you know, Halloween-related tales. But then I think because they had two Michael Myers movies in a row, people associated him so strongly with that like the third one didn't do as well. Like, it was just received very differently, because, you know? And then they just went back to it being about Michael Myers. That's my understanding. Maybe it's the second one that was different, but I think... Anyway. I still haven't seen any more than the first movie of each, so I can't really say. But, from what I know of the two characters, just, you know, what I've gleaned from, you know, media, various reviews that I've watched on YouTube or things like that, I think that Jason is going to win. Because, like, you know, Michael's a scary dude, but I think that he's a little bit more realistic. Like, from what I know, he does still have enhanced, basically, human strength, considering he could just, like, from the roof of a car, reach in, toss someone out, right? Or, you know, if he's stabbing someone, he could just, like, pick them up, like, with one arm and just hold them and then press them against the wall, and then he does a stabbing or whatnot. But aside from that, it's just like a very strong dude, you know? And granted, like, he's fairly durable as well. I mean, even just from the first movie, you know, he was stabbed multiple times, he was shot, he fell out of a second-story window, and then, you know, he just, like, got up and disappeared, right? But like, Jason, I think that he deals with, like, he just kills a lot of teenagers, too. But he deals with a lot more supernatural stuff. Like, his origin itself is, like, inherently supernatural because, you know, again, spoiling the first movie, but you're here, so I figured you don't care. You know, he died, like, as a kid at a summer camp. Like, he drowned in the lake, and then he was just a zombie living in that lake for however many years, and, like, he was still fine. And then I guess the next movie, he must be a big, burly man and is killing people? I don't know. But, you know, just, like, his not dyingness, I'm pretty sure at one point he was, like, dragged down to hell. I know there was a Jason versus Freddy movie, like Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street, which I haven't seen any Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And I don't know what that movie was about. I don't know if he won in the end. But either way, it's just, like, he seems to deal with a lot more supernatural threats along with the more mundane physical stuff. And he just, like, keeps coming back. And I don't know how much of that is, like, third-party intervention. Like, I don't know if he's died and then someone got out, you know, a sort of, like, Necronomicon kind of thing and brought him back through some ritual, or if he just, like, refuses to stay dead kind of deal. But either way, that's just from what I feel I know. I don't remember hearing any supernatural kind of stuff on Michael Myers' end, you know? Aside from, like, the idea that he's, you know, he works for the devil or he is the devil, but I don't know. Also, when I first watched Halloween and Friday the 13th, I actually recorded myself and I edited them down to, like, 50-ish minute videos, I think. I obviously cut some stuff out of the video, or the movies themselves, but yeah. If you want to watch me watch those, I think it was a good time. Check out the links in the description below. So I am leaning toward Jason winning right now with my very limited amount of knowledge, but we're just gonna have to wait to see what we can learn from the analyses. So with that, let's get to watching. Here we go for a death battle. Jason versus Michael. Take it away.
Prepare yourselves. It's time
Halloween.
to tell the tale of Crystal.
By the way, happy Halloween.
Jason Voorhees.
Meant to start with that, and then I didn't.
Boogeyman of Haddonfield, Michael Myers.
Yeah.
He's Whiz and I'm Boomstick. And it's our job to bring terror and fright on this Halloween night on Death Battle.
Right. Okay. Let's see what we get to
Within the
learn.
woods of Crystal Lake lurks a killer, buried but not dead, doomed to rise from the grave and slaughter those who live and love, if you know what I mean.
Doomed?
This is the curse of Jason Voorhees.
Oh,
Rumor
it
has
actually
he
is,
was a
I guess.
deformed child, bullied and harassed all of his life, only cared for by his single mother. But not even Mama Voorhees could save Jason when he tragically drowned at Camp Crystal Lake. Or did he? Over time, Crystal Lake became wrought with strange disappearances and violent deaths, including the camp counselors who should have been watching Jason when he drowned all those years ago. Someone or something ... was out for vengeance. And yet these harrowing
Like, that's from
murders
the
were
first
committed
movie.
by none
That
other
scene
than
right there.
Jason's own mother,
Yes.
Pamela Voorhees, seeking revenge against those who neglected her child, dooming him to his terrible end. That actually makes a lot of sense. Good for her, I guess.
Well, no.
However, even
No,
after her killing
not good
spree
for-
was cut short, the deaths continued. Nobody could prove it, but maybe, just maybe, Jason was still alive.
Yeah, because this is also
Holy shit!
that's
Yeah,
first
he's
movie as
definitely
well.
Alive. Wait,
And that's
has
the
he
thing.
been living in the
He's just
lake
a
this
zombie
whole
kid.
time?
Like,
Jason has fortitude far beyond any normal man. You can swing an axe in his face, blast half his body away, or trap him in an exploding building. Yet it will all be in vain. Even when one of the few survivors of his attacks hacked him to pieces, Jason rose again. Seriously, this happens a lot. Nobody knows the true source of his unkillable nature. Some say it's an indigenous curse, others say it's the Necronomicon, and some even say it's a hell worm. So, not too many reasonable answers.
okay.
Either way, be careful, or you just might end up on the wrong side of Jason's trusty machete, something he uses with enough strength to split skulls and pierce metal. Even when Jason has no weapon, he can be resourceful and oddly creative with his kills. He might bludgeon you to death with a sleeping bag, drown you
With
in
a
a
sleeping
garbage can, or snap you in half between a bedfold. Worst of
Wow.
all, this demented mama's boy will always get his prey. Oh, you think you can run away? Well, think again, idiot. He can teleport. No,
Can he?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Well, how
okay,
about
thank
the
you.
time he appeared in multiple places at once around this dance floor? See? Teleporting. Wrong. Hallucinations resulting from a mix of cocaine and panic. Okay, smartass. How about when he teleported
I've never had
from
panic.
one end of this ship to another? How'd he get there? Actually, when watching the full scene for complete context, there is plenty of time afforded for Jason to jump down the deck while off camera. He is quite athletic after all. What, without making any sound? The guy's built like he's made of
He's like
100
Batman.
brick houses. Are we watching the same movie? Look, fans have argued this for years, and while admittedly those moments are questionable, they're not enough to prove actual teleportation. Okay, how about this one? In Jason X, where 3 soldiers are shooting him straight on, and he just disappears. Poof! Gone! While they're looking right at him, goddammit, it's teleporting! Well, I'm sure there's a logical explanation.
I just stared at this scene while processing 900 trillion frames per second. And Boomstick is correct. Also, now my eyes are broken. Joy.
Jason can actually teleport in the video game, so I believe it.
I suppose
Friday the
teleporting
13th, I never
how,
played that.
despite his hulking size, Jason can move with ghostly silence and pick off victims one by one. Are you sure about this, dummy? Dummy?
Oh no!
Either
Picks
way,
off his victims one by one!
Little bloodlust makes him a horrifying threat. Even if you think you're protected by a foot of solid steel, he'll just crash through it to stab you. And though it's tough to believe, there may actually be a deadlier Jason out there too. Stronger, faster, and campier. This is Uber Jason, rebuilt from Jason's remains through a sinister fusion of science and mysticism.
Yeah, sure.
And guess what? Normal Jason later fought Uber Jason and actually held his own. Yeah, comics get kind of wacky, just go with it. Only natural for a monster that has fought other supernatural entities. Like Freddy Krueger, Leatherface, and the groovy man himself, Ash Williams. Indeed. So be warned, if you ever see a shadow moving through the darkness and hear a familiar... Run. Jason is out to find
Is that something? That's not something they can actually hear, though.
leaving alive.
Like, that's a non-diegetic thing.
On a bleak Halloween night, Michael Myers was born into the world as a seemingly normal child. However, beneath his pale, blank face hid something dark, something evil.
How evil? Well, he stabbed his sister Judy to death when he was just 6 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, what a rascal.
Michael was institutionalized
Which
at a
still seems
sanitarium
like a
where
sort
he
of
simply
incestuous
sat
thing to
still,
me.
almost like a machine.
Just because of how they introduced it, with him like watching her and her
trying to
boyfriend
reach
through the
him,
window.
but Michael never said a word.
But even when locked up, he still managed to get away with several murders, including Loomis's fiancée. There was no helping or stopping Michael. More than anything, he wanted to kill.
After 15 years, the night before Halloween, he broke out of the sanitarium, leaving behind one word: sister.
The story goes Michael had another sibling, Lori, and for some unknowable reason, he wanted her to suffer the same fate as Judy. And everyone else, really. He's
Lori's also
and
his
he could
sister?
do it too.
For in his hands, anything can be a deadly weapon.
If that's the case, I had no idea. And I've seen the first movie.
He's exploded heads, boiled people alive, and used his trademark knife to stab poor souls to walls like some macabre
Yes,
piece of
also
art.
first
When
movie.
they say
That's the
to
thing I was
admire
referring
your
to.
work, I don't think this is what they meant. And this isn't some
No.
special combat knife or dagger. He did this with an ordinary kitchen knife.
Michael is also surprisingly clever. Despite being confined for nearly all his life, at some point, he apparently taught himself how to drive.
It's
Yeah.
pretty clear this masked psycho was definitely plotting something while he was in the ward.
All these kills were just a detour to his ultimate goal, Lori. On an all too familiar Halloween night, he finally met his long-lost sister and nearly killed her.
But
I had
Loomis
no
intervened,
idea
shooting
they were
Michael and
related.
Sending him out a window. Phew. Well, guess that's the end of him. Yeah, you know it's not.
No
It's
one
not,
knows how,
yeah.
but the body simply vanished, only to return later that night as if nothing had happened.
There's a reason why they call him the Boogeyman.
Even after being set on fire and rendered comatose, Michael
Oh.
Myers would not be stopped.
Huh.
Almost like he's some kind of invincible undead monster.
Many explanations have been given for Michael's strange abilities.
Go
but
on.
Some less reputable sources suggest he's bound to the ancient druidic Curse of Thorn, whose symbol
Oh.
is, well, they say it's an ancient icon of Halloween, but it's actually the Norse rune for Thor, sometimes called the Thorn Rune.
Okay.
I think they just Googled rune and thorn and called it a day.
Whoa. Is Michael Myers a Viking? Yes! Awesome!
Hold on.
Curse or no curse, Michael is inexplicably driven to kill without hesitation, and his victims almost never see him coming.
Uh-oh.
You said
DBX guy.
uh-oh.
Whose phone looks like a Nintendo
While
Switch.
explaining Michael away with a vague curse is nothing more than a crutch for the truth. The fact of the matter is, no one knows why he is so cruel, so violent, so unstoppable. He just is.
At the end of the day, evil gives no explanation, only despair.
Michael thrives not just on the satisfaction of murder, but the fear it inflicts in others.
Even scarier, his kills are done with surgical precision. He can murder you as quickly or slowly as he wants. This guy knows exactly what he's doing with that kitchen knife. He's like a hibachi chef of death.
And yet, his attacks were almost brought to an end by Lori herself. But when the
Yes.
time came for the final blow, Michael proved his intelligence and wit by faking his own death using a body double.
All while getting his
What?
sister
Really?
to commit murder for him. Honestly, I'm kind of impressed.
He's also either impossibly sneaky or he can use teleportation, because he once moved through a yard full of motion sensors without setting off a single one, until he wanted to.
Look at this. There's just no stopping him. Fill him full of bullets, Michael will come back ready to rip off your head. Put him in the center of an exploding church, he'll survive and go on to kill dozens more people, just for dramatic effect.
It was this relentless evil that made the people of Haddonfield go ballistic and band together to end Michael Myers once and for all.
Unfortunately, the town would soon realize that was just not possible.
Any ordinary person would have been long dead after what he experienced, but he took all of the town's punishment, got right back up, and went right back to doing what he does
Wow.
best.
And you know what's the creepiest part about all this?
No.
They never caught him. He's still out there looking for his next prey, I assume.
Uh-oh.
So every Halloween night, lock your doors, turn off your lights, and pray you'll make it to morning. Because the boogeyman is real, and his name is Michael Myers.
Okay, well, there we have it.
All right, the tales have been told and terror runs free. Let's see which monster will stalk another day.
It's time for a spooky death battle. Pause. Okay, so, they are a lot closer than I thought. Like, I was waiting to see similar feats to, like, you know, Jason surviving the exploding house or just Jason being on fire and still walking around kind of thing. And yeah, Michael had very similar feats with the exploding church and being set on fire, going comatose, all that. I would still say, though, between the two, I'm leaning toward Jason. So while they're closer, I still think Jason will win. And a lot of it comes down to, for me, there were, like, a couple more... Like, I think that Jason had some more durability or at least regenerative feats and more strength feats that I can look at. And his was a more, like, definitive teleportation, too. Michael, they said, like, he might have teleportation, or he's just really crafty in how he was able to avoid, like, all those motion detectors until he wanted to set them off, you know? So it's like there's a case where maybe there's a teleportation, but, like, on Jason's side, they had 3 different instances where 2 of them could be explained away, but they weren't able to explain the 3rd one without going for, you know, okay, it's teleportation, you know? But then, in terms of, like, durability, or at least regenerative abilities, you know, Jason was actually, like, chopped up into pieces, they said, by one of the survivors, and he came back anyway. And then, in terms of, like, strength, Jason was actually, like, being able to punch through steel walls, sort of thing, or, like, charge through them, or whatever. That's the understanding that I had of that, at least. There was this big steel wall, and he got through it. I wonder if he could have teleported through it. I don't know. But either way, he got through it and then kept on fighting. Whereas, like, yeah, Michael was really strong, but I didn't get that same kind of thing. Like, they both kill their victims in very, you know, creative ways, in ways that, like, often should not be possible, you know, or whatever. Just very crafty and resourceful in their own rights. But Jason seems to have even more strength. And there was the whole, like, Uber Jason thing they talked about from the comics, which is supposed to be, I mean, given it's Uber Jason, like, it had to have been a very, very powerful version of Jason. And Jason's already very, very powerful. And then apparently the normal Jason was able to fight the Uber Jason, which makes me think that maybe the Uber Jason was not actually a very, very powerful version of Jason if the normal Jason could actually hold his own against him. Because, you know, anyway. But, like, there's not, like, a ton of feats I can pull from. They didn't use, like, a lot of numbers here. It's just those little extra things that they seem to give Jason, and Michael did not seem to have the same sort of counters. Like, they did have a lot of things that countered each other out, but, like, the teleportation, even if it's possible for Michael, it seems pretty much guaranteed for Jason, and he's used it on more occasions based upon the examples they gave. Jason has more strength because of, like, the steel punching thing, or, like, stabbing through a steel door or whatever. And then the survivability with, like, the chopped up bits. Those are the things that I'm going for that seem to me to make Jason more likely to be the winner than Michael here. So Jason Voorhees is going to win this one and play. Oh, not to mention, I want to say real quick too, I had this in mind but didn't say. Jason's also fought against Freddy, against Ash from, you know, the Evil Dead, against Leatherface. So he's had more experience fighting against these other crazy killers. Oh no, I don't think she's gonna make it. But who's going to get the kill? Oh. Well, I guess he did. Oh! What a stab! It's very dark. I turned down my brightness so it doesn't affect the glare as much on my glasses, but I'm trying to see now.
Alex! Where are you? We gotta go!
Yeah, you shouldn't be there. You thought Jason was dead? Well, you're wrong. You gonna just chuck it? Nah, he enjoys the fear too much. Typical. There he is. Man, that dude's running surprisingly well for having just gotten, like, slashed in the back with that axe. Jason's like, come on, let me have this. That guy's still going. So we know something's about to happen, like, through the net. Yeah. But I'm like, what happened with the fight? Axe to the face? No.
Make mother proud.
This is a very brutal fight, just inherently. So he's faked his death before, but I don't know if he's ever been decapitated and then had his... I think he's actually dead. I think he's actually dead. Okay, that was so long.
Okay, are we sure he's dead? You can't be too careful with these guys.
Michael Myers
I don't think
won't
Michael
be rising
survived
from the grave
that.
this time. Jason was too much for him. The stories may paint these slashers as unstoppable, but they do have limits and can be understood.
To Michael's credit, he could match Jason in a lot of ways.
Yes,
Both were
yes.
experts in methods of killing, and both could totally teleport.
Theoretically, though if both of them really could teleport, then neither had an advantage in that regard.
Yes.
So teleportation deniers can rest easy knowing it wasn't really a factor here.
Even the explosions they both survived were similar in size and destructibility.
But Jason held the edge with his superior endurance and healing.
Yeah!
Michael faking his death with a body double was clever, but he did it because he explicitly could not survive something like decapitation or getting half his torso blown off.
But Jason could. He also had more experience fighting other supernatural enemies like Leatherface, Freddy, and his uber self. So I doubt Michael could have surprised him with something he's never seen before.
And Jason was just as strong and vicious as Michael, if not more. So given the difference in survivability, he had a much better chance of striking Michael down first. In a battle between two unkillable monsters, it's only natural it would come down to who was more unkillable.
Right.
After being ripped to pieces, Michael could now rip in peace. Right, Jocelyn?
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn?
You can hear it.
Hello?
The winner is Jason Voorhees.
Claps for Jason! Woo!
Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.
You're
We'll be
welcome.
jumping into the next matchup next week. But you can always get more Death Battle right now by clicking one of those boxes right over there and by downloading the battle music linked down below.
Okay. Next time on Death Battle, we have... Was that Sauron? Oh, no. Oh, the Lich King. Okay, I've never played World of Warcraft, so... Yeah, I have no knowledge of that. But let's talk about this death battle. So I was right, yay me. And once again, it feels so good. It's so good when you get it right for the right reasons, you know, because I mentioned like the teleportation and they just gave it to Michael, which fair enough. Either way, at the very best, that counters it out. And at worst, it gives Jason yet another advantage. You know, I mentioned the explosions with the house and the church, and like, yeah, same thing. I mentioned that they both had the crafty kills, and they talked about how, yeah, they're both like very, you know, proficient in their murder. So, yeah, it came down to the strength, which they actually said Jason's as strong as Michael, if not more. They didn't talk about like the steel stuff, which I thought they might have, because did I miss stuff like that on Michael's part? And sorry, and that was on the steel stuffs for Jason. I don't know if I'm getting names mixed up at all. I know the two characters, but sometimes when you talk, you know how it is. But they at least talked about, yeah, the regenerative abilities and him, like Jason actually having experience fighting those other supernatural kinds of killers, or even not supernatural, just killers of their kind of tier, right? Not your typical murderer. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. And yeah, so the analyses, like I enjoyed them. They weren't anything particularly special for me. I mean, the thing that made it special was them sitting around the campfire. Like that's what made it fun. As far as just like, you know, jokes or whatnot during the analyses, like it was a solid you know, analysis portion of the video, I would say. It just wasn't anything necessarily outstanding, but I did really like the setup of like the spooky campfire story and how the different characters got to, you know, offer up different things, like Dummy analyzing that scene for the teleportation. That was fun. And like it made this seem like a special, and it was, you know, it's a Halloween special, and there have been other Halloween episodes in the past, but I didn't really super think of them as Halloween episodes. It was just like, oh, it's Halloween, well, we're gonna have one with werewolves then, or oh, it's Halloween, well, let's do vampires. Like, I obviously get how it's Halloween themed, but this is the first one that like really seemed Halloween-y to me, you know, because we deal with monsters all the time in Death Battle, so, but this one, very clearly Halloween to me. So I just liked the setup with the campfire, seeing the different characters interact, even if I don't know them from their own shows, like, you know, DBX. It was still nice. And having them being picked off was an amusing touch. And ended, of course, with just Wiz and Boomstick and hearing Jason's little, I don't want to say his theme, but you know what I mean. Speaking of themes, by the way, I love the Halloween theme. It's very simple, but I think very effective. And then it just totally makes sense that it's a classic to me. The fight itself, I found amusing. It is not my favorite fight, both in terms of kind of like it didn't seem as fluid in some cases. And, I don't know, it just wasn't my favorite. I still liked it, don't get me wrong. But like, you know, I much prefer like Popeye versus Saitama or whatever, or SpongeBob versus Aquaman at this point. We're dealing with such like top tier animations at this point in Death Battle, that I can easily say something wasn't my favorite and still have loved it, just so you know. Like, I found it amusing how long that boy lasted. And he's just getting, like, he's getting hurt, but then the other killer comes up and is like, wait, no, that's my kill, you know? It was funny. And it was fitting, I think, too, with the way that they did kind of, like, play with their prey. And then also, you know, we're trying to get rid of each other so they could actually, you know, continue on with what they were doing. Keep having fun in their off time. So it was enjoyable, and I do appreciate the way that they ended the fight too, because I thought it was a pretty definitive way where, you know, I didn't think that it was going to keep going. Like, once he was decapitated, and especially once his head was kerploded, I was like, oh yeah, he's dead. But then it just kept going, so I was like, wait, right? I'm not missing something, right? But no, it was just drawn out for suspense, which was also amusing. I do wish that I could have seen it just a little bit better, because again, like, to reduce glare on my glasses, I do have my laptop brightness all the way down, so it did make it a little hard to see. Like, I'm sure that I would enjoy it even more if I didn't have that, but, you know, I want to provide a good opportunity. Don't get me wrong, I could see it, but, like, if there were details, finer details in the darkness, I probably did miss them, so unfortunate. but I enjoyed this one. So I'm going to be wrapping up this video now, but I want to clarify something that I already clarified in my last video, but not a lot of people seem to understand, so I'm going to say it again so that hopefully more people will get it. This is my current plan for how I'm going to react to these. When a new Death Battle comes out, like SpongeBob was the newest that had come out, and so I watched that one because I wanted to, because it's SpongeBob. And then this one just came out. Like, again, happy Halloween. It just came out today if you're watching on Halloween. Or for first members, it came out yesterday, you know. But point is, it just came out, and so I'm reacting to it, you know, sooner rather than later. Once we're then waiting for another new one, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this season and work my way up as I have been doing over this past year, right? So I know a lot of you are excited. You want to see me watch certain ones, or you want to see me get certain ones out of the way. But my intention is to watch the newest ones that come out, like when they're fresh, and then go back and watch them in order. So you'll know, basically, more or less, when I'm actually going to reach the one that you want me to watch or the one you want me to get out of the way. So I have read your comments. I am aware of those desires, but I'm ignoring them. So that's my plan. That's what I stated last time. I'm sticking to it this time. So I hope you enjoy these reactions. But, you know, you get what you're gonna get, so, yeah. And again, if you want to watch me watch Halloween or Friday the 13th, check the links in the description below. You'll find my reactions there. So let me know what you all thought about this Death Battle in the comments below, whether you liked it, whether you disliked it, what you thought about this or that, etc., so on and so forth. And next time, we will be watching I think, the actual first episode of Season 9 of Death Battle, which I believe is Jinx versus Harley Quinn. So, yeah, hope you're looking forward to that. But yes, with that, we're calling it here, so have a good one, everybody.